Stonehenge, and it suggests that mysteries that shroud this region are bigger than many of us even thought.
Stonehenge. So for years, people have thought the monument's 6-ton altar stone that you're seeing here came from Wales, but now it seems it came from Scotland, which is more than 450 miles away.
For 5,000 years, Stonehenge has guarded its secrets, but now the Earth is talking. Using technology that can see through solid ground, researchers have found something that makes the stone circle look like a small part of a much bigger, more terrifying picture. They've discovered evidence of a massive super-henge nearby, 100 times larger than Stonehenge itself, and a whole landscape of forgotten ritual sites. You see, the famous stones were never meant to be seen alone. They were the final destination in a sprawling land of the dead, and what happened there is truly mind-boggling. Beyond the stones, a beam of energy shot into the soil, mapping every ditch on a pit in a post hole buried for 4,000 years. Archaeologists weren't digging. They were performing a high-tech scan of the land around Stonehenge. For years, the stone circle was seen as a lonely monument, but the data that came flooding back revealed something astonishing. 17 previously unknown monuments, a massive ring of timber posts, and ceremonial pathways all emerged from the digital darkness. This wasn't just a discovery, it was the moment the true purpose of Stonehenge finally started to make sense, and it's bigger than anyone ever imagined. This is the story of what they found beneath Stonehenge, a discovery so profound it could truly change our understanding of the ancient world. You see, for centuries, the only tools archaeologists had were shovels and brushes. Excavating a site was a slow, destructive process. You had to physically dig up the past to see it, and once it was dug up, the context was gone forever. But not anymore. A groundbreaking project called the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes Project changed the game entirely. For 4 years, a team of scientists towed state-of-the-art instruments across nearly 6 square miles of the Salisbury Plain. They used powerful ground-penetrating radar, which sends radio waves into the earth and listens for the echoes, and highly sensitive magnetometers that can detect tiny magnetic variations in the soil left by ancient human activity. To put it mildly, it was like giving the landscape a full-body MRI. They were creating a digital map of the underworld, seeing every secret feature without disturbing a single blade of grass. What many overlooked is that the fields around Stonehenge, which seem so empty today, are actually a massive, unmarked graveyard of ancient structures. The project's leader, Professor Vince Gaffney, described it as finding a whole new layer of the world, and he wasn't exaggerating. The results were staggering. The team found a total of 17 previously unknown ritual monuments. These weren't just random pits, they were henges, barrows, and cursus monuments, long, mysterious enclosures, all part of a grand, ancient design. They also found evidence of huge pits, some aligned with astronomical events, suggesting the entire landscape was a celestial clock. But the star of the show, the discovery that sent shockwaves through the world of archaeology, was found just 2 miles away at a site called Durrington Walls. On the surface, Durrington Walls is a large, grassy bank forming a massive circle, already known to be the site of a Neolithic village. But what the radar revealed beneath the ground was something else entirely. Buried just 3 feet down was evidence of a colossal ring of up to 100 massive stones or timbers. Each one would have stood nearly 15 feet tall. This super-henge formed a C-shaped arc over a mile wide, dwarfing Stonehenge itself. The sheer scale is hard to comprehend. It was one of the largest prehistoric monuments ever discovered in Europe. This wasn't just another stone circle. It was a ritual arena of unimaginable size. The thing nobody tells you is that while Stonehenge was being built, an even bigger, more complex monument was being constructed right next door, and we never even knew it was there. This discovery alone changes the entire context. Stonehenge wasn't an isolated wonder. It was part of a bustling, sacred landscape, a place teeming with people, rituals, and massive construction projects. The silent stones we see today were once just one part of a much louder, more complex world. These digital ghosts, brought to light by technology, were just the beginning of the story. The question was no longer just why they built Stonehenge, but who were these people with the vision and power to transform an entire landscape? A face for the past. Finding a hidden empire of monuments is one thing, but it raises an even bigger question. Who on earth could have built it all? For a long time, the builders of Stonehenge were faceless phantoms. We knew they were ancient Britons from the Neolithic and Bronze Ages, but we had no idea who they were as individuals. Many people are crazy about the idea of mysterious druids or even aliens, but the truth, unearthed from the soil just a few miles from the stones, is far more incredible. It's the story of real people, powerful leaders, and skilled artisans from all over Europe who were drawn to this sacred place. The key to understanding them was found not in a structure, but in a grave. In 2002, just 3 miles from Stonehenge, construction workers stumbled upon a burial site. Archaeologists rushed to the scene, and what they found was astonishing. The grave, dating back to around 2300 BC, the same time the largest stones were being erected at Stonehenge, held the remains of a man and over 100 artifacts. This was one of the richest Bronze Age burials ever found in Britain. The collection of items was so extraordinary that the man was immediately nicknamed the Amesbury Archer, or more dramatically, the King of Stonehenge. But here's the kicker: the King of Stonehenge wasn't from Stonehenge. He wasn't even from Britain. Chemical analysis of his tooth enamel, which holds a signature of the water he drank as a child, revealed a shocking truth. He grew up in the Alps in what is now modern-day Switzerland or Austria, over 500 miles away. This was a mind-blowing revelation. It meant that during the monument's most active construction phase, people were traveling from the heart of mainland Europe to this specific spot on the Salisbury Plain. This wasn't some isolated local project. Stonehenge was an international destination, and the archer didn't come empty-handed. He was buried with items that showed he was a person of immense importance. He had 5 beaker pots from a distinct cultural tradition, 18 flint arrowheads, 2 bracers, archer's wrist guards, and, most importantly, several small gold ornaments. These weren't just any gold ornaments, they were the oldest gold artifacts ever found in Britain. He was also buried with a cushion stone, a small, smooth anvil used for metalworking. This suggests that the archer wasn't just a powerful hunter or warrior. He was one of the first metalworkers in Britain. He brought with him the new, almost magical technology of turning rock into gleaming copper and gold. You see, he represented a turning point in history, the moment the Stone Age gave way to the Age of Metals, and it was happening right at Stonehenge. What many overlooked at first was that he wasn't alone. Near his grave, another burial was found containing 2 men, later named the Boscombe Bowmen, who were related to him. They too were from far away, possibly from the same region as the archer, or even further afield in Brittany or Wales. This wasn't just one important visitor, it was a dynasty, a family of powerful, skilled foreigners who came to Stonehenge and became part of its story. This completely changed the narrative. The builders of Stonehenge were not primitive, isolated tribes. They were part of a vast, interconnected European network. They were sophisticated people with advanced skills in engineering, astronomy, and now, metallurgy. The archer was likely a leader, a pioneer, maybe even a pilgrim who saw Stonehenge as the most sacred place in the known world. His presence proves that the site had a reputation that stretched across hundreds of miles, drawing in the best and the brightest of the age. The story of the Amesbury Archer gives us a face for the people who built this world-changing monument. They weren't just laborers, they were visionaries. They were people who could organize massive workforces, chart the stars, and travel incredible distances, all in the name of their beliefs. But even a king needs something to build with, and the materials for Stonehenge tell an even more impossible story of human determination. A 150-mile miracle. Every visitor to Stonehenge is struck by the sheer size of the sarsen stones, the massive sandstone megaliths that form the iconic outer circle and trilithons. These giants weigh up to 40 tons each and were quarried locally, about 20 miles away, in Troyes. Incredible feat in itself. But the thing nobody tells you is that the real mystery, the one that has stumped archaeologists for centuries, lies with the smaller stones, the blue stones. These stones, weighing between 2 and 4 tons each, form the inner circle and horseshoe, and they are not from anywhere near Stonehenge. Their story is one of the most remarkable tales of prehistoric engineering ever told, a journey so difficult and so long that it almost defies belief. For 100 years, geologists knew the bluestones were a type of igneous rock, specifically spotted dolerite, which is unique in its appearance. They knew this rock didn't belong on the chalky Salisbury Plain. The big question was, where did it come from? In the 1920s, a geologist named H. Thomas finally found the answer. He matched the stones from Stonehenge to a specific set of rocky outcrops in a remote, windswept corner of Wales, the Preseli Hills. To put it mildly, this was a bombshell. The Preseli Hills are over 150 miles away from Stonehenge. Somehow, for some reason, the Neolithic builders had decided that only these specific stones from this specific place would do, and they set out to bring an entire mountain to their sacred site. Just think about that for a second. 4,500 years ago, a society with no wheels, no iron tools, and no written language decided to quarry 80 stones, each weighing as much as a car, from a Welsh mountainside. Then they had to transport them across 150 miles of treacherous terrain, including forests, swamps, rivers, and possibly even the open sea. It is a logistical challenge that would be daunting even with modern technology. How in the world did they do it? There are two main theories, and both are mind-boggling. The first theory suggests an overland route. The builders would have felled massive trees to use as rollers and built wooden sledges to haul the stones. Teams of hundreds of people would have been needed to pull each stone inch by painful inch across the landscape. They would have had to build wooden trackways over marshy ground and navigate steep hills. It would have taken years, maybe even generations, to complete the journey. It's a testament to a level of social organization and unwavering commitment that is hard for us to fathom. The second theory, which many archaeologists favor, involves a journey by water. The builders would have dragged the stones down from the hills to the River Cleddau, then floated them on massive rafts. From there, they would have navigated down to the Bristol Channel, a dangerous stretch of water with some of the highest tides in the world. They would have then hugged the coastline before heading up rivers like the Avon to get as close to Salisbury Plain as possible. Even with a water route, the final 30 miles would have been a grueling overland haul. Many people are crazy about the idea that glaciers might have moved the stones, but recent discoveries have all but confirmed that humans did the work. In 2016, archaeologists found evidence of the actual quarry sites in the Preseli Hills, complete with wedge-shaped tools and loading platforms, proving the stones were extracted by human hands. But why? Why go to all that trouble? The Preseli Hills were clearly a special, perhaps even magical place to these ancient people. Some of the stones, when struck, ring like a bell, leading to the theory that they were thought to have healing or acoustic properties. What we do know is that the blue stones were considered so important that moving them was worth a monumental, multi-generational effort. This wasn't just construction, it was a sacred pilgrimage. The stones themselves were the relics being brought to the cathedral. This impossible journey reveals the builders of Stonehenge not as primitive people, but as a society with profound spiritual beliefs, incredible organizational skills, and a will of iron. Now we have the hidden landscape and the determined people who built it. But what does it all mean when you put it together? Tying it all together. So, what happens when you put all these pieces together? For generations, we've stood before these silent, colossal stones on the Salisbury Plain, asking ourselves the same questions. Who built this? How did they do it? And above all, why? The monument has been a canvas for our wildest theories, an alien observatory, a druidic temple, a Bronze Age computer, but the truth, slowly being coaxed from the earth around it, is infinitely more profound and breathtaking. When you assemble the fragments of new evidence, a hidden underground empire, a cosmopolitan society led by powerful metalworkers from Europe, and an almost superhuman feat of engineering to transport sacred stones across the country, you realize the puzzle was never about a single monument. You see, the thing is, none of these discoveries make sense in isolation. But when you combine them, a stunning new picture of Stonehenge emerges. A picture that finally explains its true purpose with a clarity that is almost overwhelming. The truth is, the stone circle we see today was never the whole story. It was the final, awe-inspiring centerpiece in a vast, interconnected landscape designed for rituals of life, passing, and the cosmos. It was nothing less than an attempt to build a model of the universe right here on Earth. Let's start with the new discoveries that have utterly transformed our understanding. For years, archaeologists suspected that Stonehenge didn't stand alone, but the sheer scale of what lay hidden beneath the turf was unimaginable. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar and magnetometry, the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes Project has virtually excavated the entire area without lifting a single spade. They uncovered a staggering network of previously unknown monuments, smaller henges, dozens of burial mounds, or barrows, massive ceremonial pits, and long, enigmatic earthworks known as cursuses. This wasn't an empty plain with a stone circle in the middle. It was a bustling, sacred geography, teeming with structures. This was the hidden underground empire. Then we have the people themselves. Discoveries like the Amesbury Archer, buried just a few miles from Stonehenge, shattered the illusion of a primitive, isolated culture. This man, who lived around 2300 BC during a key phase of Stonehenge's construction, was a continental European. His grave contained the richest collection of artifacts from the period ever found in Britain, including gold hair tresses, the oldest gold in the country, and copper daggers, indicating he was a highly skilled metalworker. He was an immigrant, a powerful and respected figure who brought new technologies and ideas from afar. He wasn't alone. Other burials from the era show a cosmopolitan elite, people with connections stretching across Europe, leading this monumental project. This was a society of innovators and visionaries. And finally, consider the stones. We've long known about the two types: the colossal local sarsen stones, weighing up to 40 tons, and the smaller, enigmatic blue stones. The sarsens were an incredible challenge, dragged over 20 miles from the Marlborough Downs. But the blue stones, their origin is the stuff of legend. Geologists have definitively traced them to the Preseli Hills in West Wales, over 150 miles away. Imagine the sheer organizational power and unwavering faith required to quarry these 4-ton stones and transport them across land, rivers, and treacherous seas. Why go to such extraordinary lengths? Because these stones were not just building materials, they were sacred relics, ancestral entities imbued with a power so profound that an entire civilization dedicated generations to bringing them to this hallowed ground. These clues, a complex landscape, a sophisticated society, and an obsessive focus on specific stones, only deepen the mystery when viewed separately. But when woven together with the most significant discovery of all, they reveal a grand design. That discovery lies just 2 miles away, at a place called Durrington Walls. Here, archaeologists unearthed the remains of a massive village and an even larger super-henge, built not of stone, but of wood. This was the key. Archaeologists now believe this was the land of the living. It was a place of vibrant, noisy, temporary existence. It was where thousands of people gathered for massive feasts and celebrations, likely timed to the solstices. The evidence is overwhelming. Vast middens filled with the bones of pigs, discarded in a way that suggests huge, celebratory parties rather than daily subsistence. Durrington Walls was a bustling, temporary city built of wood, a material that is organic, that grows, and that eventually rots and returns to the earth, just like living beings. It was the earthly realm, connected to the nearby River Avon by a wide, formal avenue, inviting procession and ceremony. Now, consider Stonehenge. It sits in stark contrast, a silent sentinel just a short journey away. It is built of stone, a material that is permanent, cold, unchanging, and eternal. After years of debate, the new consensus among archaeologists is that Stonehenge was the land of the dead. It was the domain of the ancestors, a place of stone meant to last forever, a permanent memorial against the erosion of time. The sheer number of cremated human remains found buried within its earliest phase confirms its role as a cemetery, a final resting place for the elite. Like Durrington Walls, it too was connected to the River Avon by its own grand avenue. The theory, now supported by a mountain of evidence, is that these two sites were deliberately constructed as cosmic opposites, linked by the river to form one enormous ritual circuit. Imagine the scene. People would gather in their thousands at the wooden city of Durrington Walls to feast, celebrate life, and honor the living. Then, a great procession would begin. They would travel down the avenue to the river, a liminal space between worlds, where they would perform a water-based ceremony, perhaps placing the remains, possessions, or prayers for their loved ones into the flowing water. From the river, they would ascend the Second Avenue, a journey that was both physical and spiritual, moving from the temporal world toward the eternal. They would arrive at Stonehenge, entering the stone domain of the ancestors to complete the final rites, to commune with those who had passed into the everlasting realm of stone. It was a grand, ceremonial pilgrimage, moving from the vibrant chaos of the world of the living to the solemn, ordered eternity of the world of the dead. This changes everything. Stonehenge wasn't just a temple or an astronomical calendar, it was the final destination, a memorial, a gateway to the afterlife, and the entire landscape. The Cursus monuments, the barrows, the hidden henges, was designed to guide people on this spiritual journey. It was all perfectly and deliberately aligned with the heavens. The main axis of Stonehenge famously aligns with the sunrise on the summer solstice and the sunset on the winter solstice. What so many had overlooked is that Durrington Walls has its own opposite alignment, pointing to the winter solstice sunrise and the summer solstice sunset. The two sites were architectural and cosmological mirror images of each other, locked in a cosmic dance of life and death, light and dark, summer and winter. So, for people watching this and wondering if all this happened overnight, the answer is a definitive no. This was a project that spanned over 1,000 years, evolving across more than 50 generations. It changed, it was rebuilt, but the core idea of a ritual landscape connecting these two fundamental opposites seems to have been there from the start. Are we missing a key detail? Almost certainly. The people who built Stonehenge left no written records, so we are piecing this story together from the powerful clues they left inscribed in the earth. But the evidence for this grand, unified theory is stronger than ever before. It finally explains the purpose of the surrounding monuments, the stark contrast between the two major sites, and the incredible, almost fanatical effort invested in building them. It means that for centuries, we've been looking at Stonehenge as a single, mysterious object, an isolated wonder. But we were looking at it all wrong. We were staring at the cathedral, but ignoring the entire holy city built around it. The real wonder of Stonehenge isn't just the circle of stones. It's the breathtaking ambition of an entire civilization to create a landscape that physically and spiritually connected the living to their ancestors and the earth to the heavens. The astonishing discoveries beneath the ground have finally allowed us to see their grand design, a plan so vast and profound, it truly does change our view of the ancient world and the timeless capabilities of the human spirit. These discoveries prove Stonehenge was part of a sacred network far grander than we ever knew. But does revealing these secrets diminish its mystery or make it even more profound? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more journeys into the past.